Hi friends, today we are going to pinch a pot, and I'm even going to show you a cool trick for turning that little bowl into a mug. So I hope you're ready to have some fun. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a few things: a paintbrush, some clay, some glaze, and a pencil. To get started with your pinch pot, you're going to first take your piece of clay out of the bag and use your hands to smack it back and forth and shape that lump of clay into a ball. The reason you do this is it helps keep the piece centered, which is something that we use in all forms of pottery. That little bit that I put in there, you'll see what we'll do with that later. I'm going to make a handle. So now what I'm doing is applying even pressure from the top and bottom as I turn the piece with my other hand. And I'm making more of a hockey puck shape. And this is going to start to define the shape of our bowl. So super important. Now we're going to press our thumb into the exact center of that piece. Now this is opening it up, so try your best to keep that opened portion exactly in the center. To start pinching, we're going to begin at the bottom. It's easiest to get your hands down in there before you have too much else going on. I'm pressing my hands together and pinching the clay in between it. And the thickness I'm going for is somewhere between the thickness of my thumb and my pinky. So again, I'm just working all the way around the bottom. Once the floor is good, I'm going to start working on the walls. So I'm going to start at that very bottom and turn the piece in a full rotation before I travel up the piece at all. And you can see I'm trying my best to keep my hands angled in so that my bowl doesn't completely flare out. I like to tell people to think about your pot like it's a skyscraper. So I'm going to start at the first floor and pinch a full rotation all on that first floor and get that the thickness that I want it to be before I start to travel up the wall. So after I've pinched the first floor, I'm going to work back up to that second floor, then I'm going to travel up to the third floor, fourth floor, etc., etc. If you see some cracks starting to form as you're pinching your piece, don't be afraid to just use your finger like it's a little eraser and smooth out all of those cracks. Now, once I've traveled all the way up that pot, I'm just going to use my hands and try to find any thick areas in the walls. If there's any spot that feels thicker than the rest of the piece, I'm going to take my time, fuss with it, and pinch it so that it's the same thickness. If you get any air bubbles that pop up, like you can see I have in there, use your pencil, poke a hole in it, and then just allow that clay to fill in as you pinch. The very last thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the top or the rim of your piece is very even and smooth, because if you're using this as a functional piece, that's where your mouth will go. If I wanted to make a planner, I could use my pencil to poke a little hole in the bottom of that, but we're going to turn this bowl into a mug, which means we need a handle. So I'm going to roll that piece of clay into a coil first, doing my best to keep it even. I like to make sure that my hands are flared out. I don't want to round my hands as I'm rolling that coil. And once I have a pretty nice even coil, I'm just going to use my thumb to pinch it flat. Now I'm going to hold it up against the mug to test the fit. For me, I don't like the top of my handle to go above the top of my drinking glass or of my mug. The reason being, I can't flip it over and set it on that when I'm washing it. So that's important. To attach your handle, you're going to slip and score. So I'm going to use my pencil to scratch up anywhere clay is touching clay. So I put scratches on both the handle and at the spot on the cup where they're going to attach. Once I have that, just put a little bit of water on there to create some slip, and I'm going to press firmly against the pot and the handle to make that attachment. After I've done that, make sure you sign your name on your piece. There you go. One big tip: do not wash your hands in your sink before taking this step of using a wet paper towel to get any clumps of clay off. Clay is not good in your sink, so it's really important to wipe that off first. Let's glaze. So to do the inside of my pot, I like to pour some glaze in there and just rotate the piece around. It gets a nice, good, even coat. For the outside, I'm going to use my paintbrush to paint on layers in differing brush strokes. So what I mean by that is for the first layer, I'm going to use all horizontal strokes with my brush, gonna let the glaze completely dry, and then I'll come back in and go the opposite direction. So I'll do vertical brush strokes. I'll let that dry, and then I might go back a third time to do horizontal strokes. The biggest thing you want to try to do is make sure that your strokes are hidden so that your glaze has a nice coverage. Look at that beautiful mug. I hope you all had as much fun making your pinch pots as I did, and we want to see them. So if you made one, be sure to take some photos and tag us at the Ah Haa School. And if you want to do some more kits, keep an eye on our website. It's aha.org, ahhaa.org. See you next time.